Alright, welcome back to another Minecraft modding tutorial with Blockly. I'm gonna go ahead, sorry, they're playing Minecraft music here. And today we're gonna be talking all about function calls. Now if you haven't looked at my video talking about function basics, please go ahead and review that. It's a very important video and essentially will lay the groundwork for what we're doing today. But function calls adhere to what's known as the dry principle, which is one of the most important programming concepts that I can really think of, and it's really important for you guys to use and be aware of. So let's go ahead and talk about what a function even is. So let's say I have a line of code here, right? And then with this, I'm going to go ahead and type in main. This creates a main program or a main function for everything to run through. And then with this, I can, send messages, for example. I put a message box in here. I grab my text box and I grab my player object me, and I can go ahead and send a message, right? And just like that, you can use functions to run lines of code. And as a great programming fundamental, you should always run your main program through a main function or a main class, as you'll look at later in life. Okay, now the next question you should probably be asking is, well, how can I create other functions to run into my main function? So let's look at an example. Here, I'm going to go ahead and create a function, call it hello. And then what I can do is I can take the function name here, grab it, drag it into my main function, and this will run whatever is in here. In this case, it says send message hello, and it runs into my main function here. This programming technique is known as a function call and is extremely valuable and extremely effective because it aligns with the dry principle. The dry principle in programming says don't repeat yourself, because when you start to repeat yourself, you run the risk of making a mistake and having to go back and refactor or correct everything that you did and every mistake that you made that you then duplicated over and over again. It's how bugs happen, right? So let's go ahead and look at an example of this. Let's say I didn't use a function call here. Let's say I got rid of this, and I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate and copy this over and over and over and over and over again. Okay, and let's say I get something like this, and let's say this took me a while to program. Let's say this took me 2 to 3 hours, right? And then I do this again, and I come through, grab this, boom, and I have massive amounts of stuff. Let's say this is a welcome message for a customer. Every time they join you in, they say hello world, and you want to do that for each iteration of a player, for example, right? Now, the problem with this is that if you ever wanted to change the welcome message, you would have to go back into each one of these and change it constantly. Look how many times I would have to change it, right? Now let's pretend that this wasn't, 15 lines of code, but 100 lines of code, and it looked like this, right? This would be a nightmare to have to go back into each one of these individual string elements here and change the code, right? And this is the dry principle. You don't want to end up in a situation like this. This is the worst case scenario, right? Because now, again, when you refactor, you have to go back in and fix all of these mistakes. So I'd have to go back in. Let's say I want it to now be Hola, right? Hola world, right? I have to go back in and change it each time. And nobody has time for that. However, if you use dry programming techniques, such as a function call here, I'm going to grab this, drag it in here, let's go send message, right? Grab a text box, grab the player object me, type in whatever I want, hola. Now, when I call that function, it's going to only run what's in here. And if this function gets called many times throughout my main program here, or my main function gets called a whole bunch of times, right? And I want it to go back to saying something different, I only have to change it once. And this will do the exact same thing, right? And this is the power of function calls. So again, just a nice little recap here. This is the function call. It's whenever you take the name of the function and call it or write it into another function. Whenever this happens, it's going to run whatever's here in this code in here. And the reason why we want to do it this way is that if we ever want to change how this hello function behaves, I only have to change it in here once. Versus if you do it the other way, you would have to change it a boatload of times. And you don't want to do that. So let's go ahead and to finish out here, I'm just going to show you how to create an Enderman and how to create an Enderman and Creeper army. So I'm going to go ahead and create two functions here. We're going to call this Enderman. We're going to call this Creeper, just like so. Then we're going to come here, go player, perform command, grab that, grab player, perform command. The perform command will take two arguments, which will be a data type string, and then the player performing the command. So those are the two arguments. Grab the data type string, grab the player performing the command here, and I'm going to type in summon Enderman. Just like so. There's my Enderman function, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here for the creeper, except this time I want this one to summon a creeper. Notice creeper in the command has to be capitalized or Minecraft won't recognize the command. Now I'm going to go ahead and take these and call these into my function, just like so. And what's nice is now if I start to duplicate or change things, right, so this will now summon 3 Endermen and 3 creepers. If I wanted to change what this mob did, I would only again have to change it here once, right? So let's go ahead and look at this in Minecraft. I'm going to go ahead and mod this in. It's now modded in. Jumping over to Minecraft. Give it a second for my screen to load. 9 in Minecraft. 2. And there is my Enderman and creepers. And they do not look happy. Alright, but again, here's a nice little example of how to use Minecraft modding and what a function call is. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment, and I will see you in the next one.